Hi, my name is Brandy Cruther, and I want to welcome you to Fit Boston and Beyond. I'm so excited to be here. Hi, Yvel.
Hey, Brandy, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing, Yvel?
Listen, alive and well, just alive and well.
Well, I'm glad to have you on my show. So, if you already don't know, this is Coach Yvel, and he's the co-principal owner of P Fit Coaches. Also, he's a professional fitness performance and AMP life coach, certified martial artist, U.S. track and AMP, and field a level one coach, which is really these are great credentials, Yvel.
Yeah.
So, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, so Brandy, I'm a kid from Brooklyn, okay, from Brooklyn, New York. And how did I get to Boston? It all started with from high school. I was a student athlete, excelled very well. I shouldn't say excelled very well. I worked hard. Okay, worked hard. So I'm not gonna say anything came easy. Nothing comes easy in life. I had to really bust my chops as far as my academics. I went to a STEM school. I majored in architecture. But on top of that, to stay off the streets, I joined the track and field team. And who would have known? Freshman year, I joined the track and field team. And after a whole lot of hard work, by the time I got to my senior year, I was ranked on the national level and earned a scholarship to Northeastern University after being recruited to a number of schools. Yeah, so I ran track and field at Northeastern University while studying business management.
Now,
So,
so I'm talking about going to Northeastern. So you attended Northeastern on a full scholarship.
yes.
And what were some of your accomplishments? How cool is that to go to school here in Boston?
Well, you know what? Coming from a big city, I did not want to go to a small town. Okay, New York City is a very big place. I went to a high school that had about 4,500, almost 5,000 students. Can you imagine that?
Wow, it's a lot
So
of
I,
people.
it's a lot of people. I mean, this is New York City, one of the biggest, high schools in New York City. And like I said, making it to Boston was just really another opportunity to be in another big city or metropolitan type environment because I didn't want to just be this big fish in a small pond. I needed to
Mm.
have room where I could develop academically, athletically, as well as my career, and that's what Boston provided.
Now, we talked earlier about your company, which is first, congratulations. I love to see
Thank
uh,
you.
Black entrepreneurs. So I want to say congratulations there. So tell us a little bit about your PFIT coaching.
So PFIT coaches. So it's not just me. That it's a dual ownership. Between myself and my fellow coach Trevor Garrick. We kicked off PFIT coaches back in 2008. Okay, both
Wow.
both Trevor and myself had been working in the financial corporate world. Okay, him in insurance, and I was in wealth management. Again, I studied business. My specialty was finance and international business. So, I want to say I had a great career in the corporate world, but great is all relative.
Mm.
Okay. The focus was to reach, and break this glass ceiling. But until you reach this glass ceiling that you didn't think was there or you were told is there, and when you actually hit that glass ceiling, it's like, whoa, a reality check. So I got to a point where do I continue working for corporate America and they tap all of my youthful essence, all of that vim and vigor? Or one of the passions is I love coaching, I love fitness training, I love motivating. And between Trevor and myself, and who was also a business major back when he went to college, I used to always say, we should partner up and start a business.
Wow.
And really, as we got to 2008, we said, you know what, let's make it happen. So we launched what is performance, fitness, and training. And that's how we got PFIT coaches. So performance fitness is our specialty. Trevor being a track and field All-American, myself track and field All-American. What better way to go into business together and put our business minds together? And that's how we got started back in 2008.
So, has your business been able to survive during COVID? It's been a difficult time, especially for personal trainers and/or gym owners.
Yes, absolutely. So we have a number of levels as far as how we do our business. We have corporate fitness where we run and we create programming. You talk about boot camp, yoga, fitness, and as business managers, we manage that and get all the instructors for these corporate sites. But at the same time, we're also working as coaches, whether it's track and field, high school, college. We're also officiating collegiate meets for track and field. You know, you're talking about high level. You know, this is Division 1, 2, 3. But when COVID hit, everything came to a
Yeah,
standstill.
yeah, it took a hit.
Suddenly, we had no high school athletes because now they had to be home. Collegiate programs were suspended. You know, fitness training was suspended. Our athletic facility was closed. So we took a pretty bad hit within the first few weeks. And how were we able to survive? Truthfully, we had to learn how to pivot. You know, it's a business term. It's a term right now. If you don't understand how to pivot, you have to get to know that. You know, understand that word.
Say that again. That word
You
what?
have to understand how to pivot.
'Cause, you know, I played
Now,
basketball, so you talking my language.
there you
Like
go. There you go.
that's the word on the court.
Athletes know how to pivot. If you play basketball, you're pivoting all the time. You know, how do you go from one foot to the other? Change the direction. You're playing football. How do you zigzag? Okay, how do you avoid that contact? All right. If you're in any kind of sport, you have to pivot. But how do you do that when it comes to a corporate or a professional or a business type approach? And pivoting just means you're going one direction full steam ahead and you have a big roadblock in front of you. You either have a choice of hitting it head on and slow down your momentum, or learn how to really pivot. Okay, avoid that tackle, avoid that guard, right, and take another direction. Again, a lot of this stuff is my martial arts background. You know, we do a lot of parrying, okay, a lot of zigzagging, a lot of bob and weave. And if we didn't learn how to bob and weave fast enough, we would have really gone down.
Well, I'm with you there. That Bob and that, you know, I like that Allen Iverson crossover. So,
There you go.
you know,
There you
pretty
go.
entire conversation. But I want to ask you a question. How do athletes really prepare for their sports, both physically and mentally?
Okay, great question. I think the first thing you have to tackle is the mental aspect of the sport. Okay, first of all, there's many talented athletes out there when it comes to the physicality of things. Okay, whatever sport you're playing, but the mental preparation is the toughest part. The mental confidence. A lot of people tend to think athletes, you know, they're these jocks. They got it made. They got all this athleticism, and they just step out on the court and they play. If you're not prepared for failure, a lot of times we look at success. Everything's about success. But how many times you go out there and you play a game and you lose and come
Mm,
back and pick yourself back up again? How do I make myself better? Okay. All right. So you know what? I messed up this shot. I made an error. You know, whatever you end up doing, you have to learn not necessarily just from the losses alone, but how do you gird yourself when you do lose and pick yourself back up again? And that's really one of the main things when I work with athletes, especially student athletes. I tell them, you know, tackle the books first because the books helps you to think in a different way. It's not just about getting on the field and not understanding how to run the plays. You know, you've got to understand math. Math was one of my most challenging classes back when I was in high school, and I went to a STEM school.
wow.
I found that I had to put a lot of time getting tutors and putting extra time in math just to make sure that my GPA wasn't, down the drain. Also to make sure I was eligible.
Wow.
So when it comes to reality, when I'm working with athletes, okay, let's find out let's get beyond just being eligible. Let's make sure that you're targeting and striving for Dean's honor roll. Okay. We don't want mediocre because if you're going to be excelling this high in athletics and your academics are this low, it's not a good balance. Now, the reality is sometimes it does happen. Not all athletes are top level students,
That's true.
but to me, that's one way I have to work with athletes. You know, it's the mental preparation, it's the mental approach to being tenacious, of being strong minded.
I love it.
You got to have that strong will. Now, from there, let's tackle the physicality. Okay, if we're working on speed, agility, quickness, all these things, you got to spend the time on the court. You got to spend the time working the techniques, working the drills in the weight room, getting your body stronger. So you've got to have the mental as well as a physical approach to really having a successful athlete.
Well, I love it. So you talked about this mental piece, you talked about this physical piece, but one of the big things, and a lot of people don't know, athletes, just like fitness instructors, we
Yes.
do too, we don't always have good nutrition. So how do we look at food and what role does good nutrition play in preparing us for our sports?
Well, aside from the mental and the physicality of it, truthfully, that's probably one of the most important pieces. when you look at nutrition. We work with athletes, and one of the biggest things is hydration. What's the importance of hydrating? It's easy to pick up a bottle of Gatorade, but water is the go-to. Water is what replenishes us. Okay. So hydration is key, because with lack of water, our bodies can't perform. Our muscles are not oxygenated. They're not hydrated, and we're going to cramp up. The next piece is, we have to learn how to balance our diet. So as an athlete, I always tell my athletes, for example, when I was in school as a track and field athlete, after practice, I would inhale about 3,000 to 4,000 calories in a sitting.
Wow.
Amazing. 3,000 to 4,000 plus calories, because we needed to replenish all that was depleted from practice, especially going to a Division I program. Again, not to undermine any program,
Right.
but the expectation was that we're going against all the top dogs, and we had to be the top dog. So with that, you can't just eat the basics. So understanding, the essence, the basics, carbohydrates, proteins, the essential fats that your body needs, how to keep that proper balance, understanding how to divide up your nutrition. Okay. There's no time to skip breakfast. Breakfast is just as key as an essential, but understanding the proper foods that goes in your body is just like a Formula One car. If I'm putting regular gas in a Formula One car, it's not going to perform, to the best of its ability. You know it, right? Yeah. So you got to fuel it. You got to learn when to put the right fuel in there. When's it going to optimize? When does that fuel optimize in that season? Okay. And that's a key thing. So athletic and athletic nutrition is a very key thing that we always have to delve into, especially when we're dealing with high school athletes going to college, or those collegiate athletes who are trying to step into the professional world, whether it's basketball, football, it doesn't matter the sport. Athleticism is the same all around. Whether you're playing golf, track and field, football, nutrition plays a key role. And how does it work with your sport?
Something that you said that's really key, and I want to talk about that, because it's different every level. I played D1 ball, so I know how it feels to eat potato chips when I'm, in high school, and I'm going to college now.
So true.
We carb loading different for sport. So how do you teach a young person about nutrition as they're transitioning in these different phases? And also, too, they're still growing.
Right, absolutely.
You don't marginalize that. You're still growing. Your body's still growing.
And that's a fine line when you're working with an elementary school age student to a high school age student. As the body's going through that puberty stage, the preteen to teenage, their bodies are this human furnace, and they're not thinking about what's quality food. So sometimes you have to play a mental game. It's like, okay, do you go with this Big Mac? Okay, or do you go with this maybe Subway? I'm not here to promote any one of them, right?
Right.
However, it's a matter of how's it going to help you. This may taste great right now, but is it going to weigh you down for later? So again, if I'm working with a basketball athlete, I'm just using that as random. If you're really going for a strong layup, okay, and you just put the wrong foods in your system, how strong is your layup really going to be? Are you really going to spring off of that leg? All right. Or is that food that you ate that was really not the best food for you right then and there, is it weighing you down and taking away from doing that layup? So then I try to teach them the importance of fiber as a young athlete. Okay. How the body circulates. So I look at everything as it's a wheel.
Wow.
Our bodies are like it's like a company. It's like a factory. Okay. If you put in a whole lot of heavy materials in that wheel, okay, it's going to slow down the process. If it's not breaking down fast enough to speed up that wheel, it's going to slow you down. So when I give them analogies like that, they start thinking, hey, coach, you know what? You got a point. So what should I be putting in my body? Now I got their attention. All right. The key thing is getting their attention. And once you have their attention, now you start feeding them the right, the right nutrition, the right mental nutrition.
Wow. Well, it sounds so exciting. Now I want to ask you another question. What has been exciting about being an entrepreneur? How you been feeling about that?
Man,
Your own
that's a great question.
business, owning your own business.
Now, I'll tell you, there's highs and lows. When I was in the corporate world, and not to down the corporate world, I had days where I felt great out there. I also had a whole lot of days where I just felt a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. Okay. My last job, okay, I mean, great position, great title. I'm trying to work my way up the ladder.
Mhm.
But every day I was going to work and I was walking on eggshells. Am I
Ooh.
hitting my quarterly numbers? Okay. I might have done well last quarter. All that slate is wiped out because now they hit the reset button on you.
Mm.
Okay. I have to bring in X millions of dollars as far as business. Okay. And whatever we do. So it became a game of it's stressful. How do I sustain this pace of productivity day in and day out? Then I kind of tap into back into the athletic world. How do I sustain this level of performance day in and day out? Well, we can't operate on high gear all the time.
Mm.
Okay,
Say
you have
that
to
again. I
reset.
need you to say that again, though.
You can't operate on high gear all the time.
Okay, okay.
At
No,
the end of,
because we think we can.
we
So it's
think we can.
as a life coach and a fitness professional say that.
Exactly. So I had to start tapping into the realities and the analogies as an athlete because if I was successful on the track and in my sports, martial arts, and all these different activities, why can't I also be successful in my career? So I found something, I had to pursue the thing that brought me the most joy.
Mm,
So as an entrepreneur, I don't feel the stress and the intense anxiety that I felt in the corporate world
mm.
because I went to school for the sake of understanding business, understanding what it means, accounting, finance, organizational behavior, and how do I apply that? And that became the key thing. I really took a lot of what I learned from the corporate world and I put that as far as the basis of how I do business. And the
Wow.
biggest thing for me was how do I manage and how do I improve upon relationships?
Wow.
Everything is about relationships. You know, if I'm going to coach an athlete, for me to be coached, what kind of relationship environment do I want to create? And I think that's what I was able to bring to my business environment because every athlete, every individual I work with, whether young or old, it's a clean slate. I have to bring the same level of enthusiasm to each one. I can't jip any one,
Mm.
So for that, it has to keep me hungry. It has to keep me looking to tackle every day with a fresh essence. Okay. And that essence is what I tag as you got to look alive.
Oh, I love
I cannot step to you
it.
with lackluster
Yeah,
enthusiasm.
I love it. I love
I
it.
can't walk in there and be like, yeah, okay, Brandy, all right, let's pick up the basketball. We're gonna do some suicides. I gotta come in there. Let's get it going. What do we need to do to succeed? How are we gonna make it happen? So to me, that's the essence of, you're gonna look alive. You got to look alive on the court and off the court, and
Well,
look
you got
alive.
excited here already.
Hey,
So some things you'd like to accomplish. You talked about the challenges, good or bad, as far as being an entrepreneur, but being excited about working for yourself. Now, where are you at, Yvel, right now? And what are some things you would like to accomplish?
so again, as I talked about, I had to pivot during the COVID times. I realized I've now, again, I mentioned 2008. So when you start looking at it, I've been in as an entrepreneur for the last 12 years, but I've been doing fitness coaching for almost 20 years. I've been doing this while I was already in the corporate world. So it wasn't just an easy snap of the finger. So I look at it right now, I still have to reinvent myself. I tell my athletes, I tell my clients, you have to reinvent yourself because you may reach this level of success or you're starting from here and you're still grinding, you're not getting to that, to the end point. Reinventing yourself means you have to look and assess, okay, where am I? What am I doing that's not getting me to the next level results?
Mm.
Okay. So I have to look at that every day. So really from high school, college, being team captain, being that motivating force, I had to tap back into that essence and say, okay, you know what? I've been doing well as far as fitness coaching, fitness training, sports performance conditioning, all those things. How do I pivot now? I have to now, I can't continue being this ball of energy that's constantly motivating someone. So now I have to put it into how I coach. So I look at from the perspective as a life coach, how do I motivate? Be that motivational speaker, be that presenter. So I have to now create systems in which I can easily motivate those around me. So now I have to create really a world where people are coming to me, or I'm more so sharing, how do you start living your best life at
Ooh,
whatever level you're at?
I love it.
Because
Say that one again. That's my
how do
favorite.
you how do
Again,
you live your best life
I want to
at
make sure.
whatever level you're at?
Wow.
Because so with that, I've had to learn that okay, it's not really about how I can demonstrate the basics on athletic movement. I mean, there were I used to have to teach athletes, basketball, track athletes, doing these hurdle bounds, putting the hurdle to the highest level. I got to a point where I'm like, you know what? If I keep trying to demonstrate my youthfulness in my current, state of, maturity, I'm gonna trip and fall. It's not gonna look good. So I had to find ways now to use the experiences of of my career as an athlete as well as a professional. So I look at coaching from the perspective I'm here to teach. I'm here to impart the knowledge from a different perspective. I've been there, I've done that, but here's the roadmap. Okay. I have a great poem that I love. It's called The Bridge Builder.
Mm,
And the whole essence of The Bridge Builder is that this old man's coming, from a long journey, and he's come to this chasm where there's no way to cross.
mm,
And as he's looking at this chasm, he starts to build a bridge to get over to the other side. And some stranger who watches them, building this bridge says, well, why are you wasting your time building this bridge? And the old man says, the path I just came from, as bad as it might have been for me, there followeth me a young man who someday will also have to follow that same path. Okay. And as much as he may stumble, I'm laying a bridge for him. So as a bridge builder, I now have to lay a path. Okay. How do you excel in your sport at the same time being that studious athlete? Okay. You can't have student athlete and just focus on the athlete. You can't have trying to live your best life when your habits aren't necessarily improving your, a livelier type of living. So those are the different qualities I try to impart now as a life coach. It's just really about how do I tap into my inner motivation? How do I share that? How do I show you, okay, how do I help you from getting from A to B?
what I like about what you're saying is you actually are living in both worlds because
Yes,
here you're teaching young people one way about this, and then as you become older, there's a different level of coaching that you need and that you
yes,
actually go out and seek. But my next question is, where do you see your business in 5 years? Because
absolutely.
Northeast Co-op. I'm gonna do that. I love when I say that one. So you're preparing for your 5 year plan. Where do you see your business in 5 years?
5 year plan's already been in the works, and aside from the 5 year plan, it's the 5 year plan, it's the 10 year plan. Okay, where do I see? We look at ourselves to, I think corporate America, or I think school has us prepared to work hard and work hard towards retirement. Okay, I realize I'm not looking to retire in life, because I think when we retire and not have any purpose, we start to lose our purpose.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm looking to stay as purposeful as possible in what I do. So as a business person, I've had to learn how to diversify.
Mhm.
So in other words, I want to maintain a level of business where I can still do coaching. Okay, I can still now be a teacher as far as the essence. Again, I use athletics, but I treat my non-athletes just the same as I would treat an athlete.
Mm.
Because what's the difference? The difference really may be that physical talent, but we all bend down to tie our shoelace the same. We all put on our pants the same. Okay, so my 5 year plan really is to see, how do I diversify what we do as PFIT coaches,
Mm,
okay, on all of our specialties? How do I empower or bring in other coaches to join within our brand? Okay, because my specialty may be speed and agility, especially as a track athlete. But how do I also work with a basketball coach, a lacrosse coach? How do I connect with a golfing coach? Because ultimately, the human body moves all the same. If I'm rotating, the same baseball type swing can probably help out a golfer. Now, they're not the same type of swings, but it's similar mechanics, body rotation. So I look at how do I continue to build from a fitness level as far as business, from a sport level as far as business. But I look at right now, one of my next things is really I'm looking to write my first book.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm looking to putting a lot of thoughts, into it. As far as I have a lot of life experiences. Sometimes people look at things as, wow, hey, you're lucky. This is all working good for you. But there's been a lot of pitfalls. Not everything is always easy. But when I look back at it, sometimes we sit on these degrees that have never been used. And we have communication. Some of us are engineers. I'm reinventing myself now because I have to continue to market myself and my story. Okay, story is all about success. So, so I'm venturing a lot more into life coaching. I am looking to write a book as far as life experiencing, living your best life. And on top of that, someday down the line, I will want to retire, but I want to be financially ready on my own terms, not because somebody says, "Hey, it's time to move on. It's time for you to retire."
So it sounds all exciting, but my thing right now I'd like to ask you is there's so many people watching, and are you still currently training and coaching young people?
So not to the extent that we were before. Unfortunately, right now, again, with this unfortunate situation, this pandemic, a lot of the schools, especially in the greater Boston area, specifically Boston, they're all working education from home. So a lot of sports programs has been suspended, which is a big drawback because this is an outlet that athletes need right now, that students need, that young people need, let alone us as adults need. So trying to find ways to continue partnering with local organizations. Okay, I'm just throwing it out there. Soul Train has a great group out there. They have young adults, elementary school. So I try to partner with them as far as being a guest coach and see how to motivate these youth while they're still at home. Trying to connect with some high schoolers, trying to reach out as best as possible. But you know what? It has not been easy because a lot of the platforms that we do our coaching and our training have recently been closed. So for right now, it's really trying to reach out and connect with organizations that are actually still in place. Okay. And, we're trying to do the best that we can on that level.
Well, I want to put your information up on the screen for a second, just so people can see it. And if they want to contact you, they can call you and email you.
Excellent. Yep. So there we go. PFIT Coaches. You could always look up hashtag PFIT Coaches, pfitcoaches.com.
All right. I just wanted people to get an opportunity to see your information. So if they did want to contact you, they could. My next thing is there's all kind of trainers and we all have our own style.
Right.
So what makes your style unique?
Wow. You know what? It's called the special sauce.
Okay.
We all got to have a special sauce. I already mentioned my mantra of look alive. That I have to bring. I mean, my energy, and which I'm blessed for, is not fake. It's very authentic. I have to approach you as the person that you are. And like everyone, what makes it unique for myself, I'm looking to build a relationship and see where can we take that relationship. Okay. Relationships is a two-way street. Coach, athlete, trainer, client, it's all about how you build a relationship. And again, it's not just about hand holding. Okay. There's an expression that says, keep aiming for the stars. Well, when you aim for the stars, are you going out there all by yourself? You have a supporting cast. So along the way, if I can help somebody along that way. So really, I say my special sauce is I'm bringing enthusiasm. I go by two things, energy and enthusiasm.
All right.
You bring that to the situation, that's the special sauce. It's going to enliven and add flavor to everything we do.
Wow. Yvel, I love this. I love all of the tips you're giving, especially that pivot. Now, that pivot one is going to stay with me.
All right.
That's going to be one I really like. But what role does your mind play in achieving goals? This is something I wanted to ask you before we leave. I just want for people to think about when they're thinking about achieving a goal, especially you said as a life coach, What role
Yes.
does your mind play? How do you prepare your mind? Talk to us about that.
Wow. You ever heard of mental yoga? I mean, the mind is like practicing yoga. Every day you got to get up and you got to go through the different habits of flexibility, of stretching, of breathing, of absorbing, reading, and that's how my mind works. I get up in the morning, for example, when I'm in the car driving, I'm listening to my devotion. So even though sometimes people say, well, where do you get all mental this and mental that? And I also have to listen.
Mm,
So when I'm doing my devotion, as I say, I'm listening to other speakers. I have to be uplifted so I can help uplift others. So that's one way that I have to get my mind right. Now, aside from that, I read. I try to look at things from not just a one-dimensional perspective. I always try to see both sides of the situation. I try to have an international perspective to things where we may look at things as a local, okay, we're in the US or I'm in Boston, it's all about this. But coming from a big city like New York City, living in a big city like Boston, after college, I spent almost a year in Paris, getting a different perspective on international relations, business, culture.
mhm.
So you have to look at things from not just a one dimensional, you have to kind of absorb the environment around you. And once you've done that, then you put it in there and say, you know what, which way do I want to go with this? And
Wow.
I think that's my approach as far as how I have to prepare my mind. I have to feed my mind for it to feed me back thoughts that say, you know what, let's go this direction. And you can't be afraid to make mistakes. Because if you make mistakes, it's just like a stumble. What do you do when you stumble? You fall down. You get back up
Get back up.
and you keep on moving.
You got to keep moving. Well, Coach
Absolutely.
it's been an honor to have you on Fit Boston and Beyond. And what I like about Fit Boston and Beyond, it's fit health and wellness for everyone. So that's why I invited you on the show, because I wanted people to learn more about what you've been doing and what you have to offer and how they can get involved and be a part of your program. So I want to thank you, Coach Yvel, because you have truly inspired me. And I will work on my pivot some more so
All
I can
right.
get downtown a little better. But I hope to have you on the show again. And I will definitely put up your information before we leave. Okay. So I just want to say thank you. And thanks again for being on the show.
Brandy, it's been a pleasure. And I thank you as well. Be